What's up, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Finance and Freedom. My name is Todd, and today we're going to talk about the importance of residual income. Warren Buffett says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. I couldn't agree with that more. In fact, in order to get ahead, most of us are going to need additional sources of income in order to really become financially successful in our lives. And so I would like to cover the various ways that I have made residual income and that I think would be a good way for you too as well. So the most lucrative thing, and I have these in order from the most lucrative to the least, the first thing is stock and crypto portfolio. Over the last year, I have made a substantial sum off my stock and crypto portfolio. The market has done really well in the last year, and I anticipate that it will continue to do so. I guess we'll see what happens. The good news is I'm not 100% relying on my stock and crypto portfolio. In fact, it could go down to zero and it'd be perfectly fine. And so you shouldn't over leverage yourself in this regard. Make sure that you only invest what you can afford. And like I said, if you lose everything, yeah, it's gonna really hurt, but you should be able to survive even if you don't, even if you lose everything in your stock and your crypto portfolio. In fact, it should be for all of these things. All right, the next thing we're going to look at is house rentals. I actually have a duplex up in Pennsylvania that's doing really well. In fact, one of the renters pays for the mortgage and the other house or the other renter, everything else goes into my bank account. It's a wonderful source of income. I realize that the housing market is really expensive right now. And so now is probably not the best time to get in the housing market unless you find a killer deal. Maybe you're a handyman, maybe you know how to fix up a house and make it nice. And maybe you can find a house that's in bad shape and then fix it up and then rent it. It'd be a good option. But other than that, the housing market is pretty tough right now. And so I managed to get this duplex before the housing market really took off. I got a killer deal on it. It did need a lot of TLC, and so I put a decent amount of money into it, but it is now making a substantial amount of money. The problem is with house rentals is there's a little bit of a headache that comes along with that. I actually have a property manager, but the problem is there are still issues that come up. I had a car drive through the front of my duplex. This was probably 3 or 4 months ago, and so I'm still dealing with the repairs and the insurance, and it can be a bit of a headache, and so it's not always smooth sailing. I had a couple years where I did nothing. I just collected the money and the property managers did everything, but there's always going to be something that you have to deal with. I had an AC unit go out that ended up costing a small fortune. And so, like I said, it's not all sunshine and daisies with house rentals, but it really is a good source of income. So I mentioned that the first renter is paying off the mortgage. Well, I mean, you have to factor in the fact that it's also, it's paying down the principal as well as the interest rate. And so it really is a good source of income. So I'm getting money from both renters, even though the one is just going to the mortgage. I'll get that money back out whenever I sell it, which I'm probably not going to sell it, or when I refinance. The point is I'm getting equity in the house off of the first renter. All right, moving on to the next one is house hacking. Actually, that was one of the reasons that I picked this house. I'm going to take you on a small tour. Follow me. All right, so here's the tour of the basement apartment. You can see we're still kind of in construction mode. It's very dusty from all the marble that I was cutting. And I've done a majority of this stuff myself. You can see here, it has its own entrance and exit to the outside. So I don't have people come through my house. Got this beautiful kitchen down here. I'm gonna install a stove in that corner over there. You can see it come over here. Setting up a bathroom, again, still in construction mode. But giant closet, beautiful shower, and then you've got their own laundry set up, washer and dryer combo, bedroom, and another bedroom. And what's great about this whole setup is this is going to pay for more than half of my mortgage. So this is a great source of income. So as you can see, if you have a house that's like this, you can actually make a good chunk of change off of renting out your basement. Make it nice, maybe make a little kitchenette down there. It'd be a great source of income. Additionally, if you don't have a basement, or maybe you're younger, or you don't mind living with other people, maybe you have an extra bedroom or two that you can rent out. It's a great extra source of income, could pay your mortgage, or at least part of your mortgage, and so it's a great source of income. I'm to the point, I'm married now, and we didn't want to have roommates, but a rental downstairs, it seems like a great idea. It's completely separate. They have their own entrance, their own everything. And so that is, like I said, one of the main reasons that I picked this house to begin with. And so I'm excited that that's almost done, and we'll be ready for a rental here shortly. All right, next up is the crypto miners. I've got several crypto miners that are just making a decent amount of money, and I'll actually end up making some more YouTube videos off of that. My favorite crypto miner right now is going to be the GeodeNet. It uses very little power. I think it costs like $2 a year to run, and it's making a good chunk of change. It's not going to be anything life-changing, but I mean, it pays for my gas and then some. And so it's kind of an exciting project. I'm actually waiting until hopefully a crypto rally happens over the next 6 months, year. I don't know. I'm hanging on to the coins for right now, but I'll probably sell those off and swap it out for something like Bitcoin in the future. But right now, I'm just holding it and waiting for things to change. All right, next up is that I use stock photos and videos. There are several stock photo and video sites around that you can use. And you can use yourself, and you don't even have to have fancy cameras or anything like that. Just going around, and if you see something cool, take a photo or a video of it, and then upload it, and enter in all the hashtags and the metadata for the photos. It's not that difficult. It doesn't make a ton of money, but these are some things that I set up probably 7 or 8 years ago, and it's nice just waking up in the morning, it's like, oh, there's another 40 bucks in your account. Like, it happens all the time. It's kind of fun. Like I said, it's not anything life-changing, but it's an extra source of income that's really nice and handy to have. All right, and hopefully YouTube will be a nice source of residual income someday. YouTube, hopefully in the future, will be a set it and forget it. Like, theoretically, my videos could live on in perpetuity and will continue kicking off income. And I realize that the income will probably diminish over time because the videos will become less relevant. But hopefully, it does become residual income in the future. And so I guess we'll see. Time will tell. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't start the same thing. Nice thing with like a travel channel or something like that is the videos don't get old. Like a travel channel, like people are always traveling to Bali or Mexico or wherever. And so the nice thing about those is while it might be harder to get monetized, it has better staying value. And so just another thought, but it doesn't have to be any of those things. You could be an HVAC guy and you're making YouTube videos on that. And so I think there are so many different options. I highly encourage you to start a YouTube channel. We'll see how this one goes. All right, so here's some other ideas for potential income for you. You could write a book, like I was saying about an HVAC. Maybe you're an HVAC professional, HVAC being heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Maybe you're a HVAC professional and you're like, hey, I want to make a DIY book so that people can actually do this on their own. And maybe you're not a good writer. Well, ChatGPT is. And so input all your information, be like, hey, I want to write a book and here's the information that I have. Make this sound good and make it easy for people to follow along. In fact, I want you to make a step-by-step guide of how to do all of these things. And ChatGPT can do it for you. And so really, writing a book could never be easier than it is right now. You can publish it on Amazon. You don't even have to have hardback copies. It can be ebooks. And so that's a great source of income. I personally haven't done that, but I've heard lots of people that have and have done really well with that. So that's idea number one. The other idea is rent a car on Turo. I know lots of people that do long-term rentals. I mean, we're talking like 30 days at a time because they're on an extended vacation, or maybe their car broke down and they're wanting to do the work themselves, or they just need something to get around. You can spend $4,000 or $5,000 on a car and just continue to rent that out. It's easy income. I wouldn't do it with your own car unless you're just really risky like that. But that's definitely an idea for making additional income. Another thing that my friends are doing actually is they're renting out their backyard. Lots of people who have dogs don't necessarily have a backyard. And so people will rent out your backyard in order to have a place for their dog to run. And so especially if you live in a neighborhood where there's lots of people. It could be a great source of extra income. Again, it's not going to be anything life-changing, but my friend just wakes up and is like, oh yeah, I won't even be home whenever these people show up. So I mean, nothing happens. There's reviews on the users and whether they're good and like clean up after themselves. So could be a decent option for you. Or the last one is an online course. Like I said, pick whatever you're good at. Maybe it's woodworking. Well, do an online course for it. There are lots of websites that you can use to upload your courses and sell those. There's no reason why you shouldn't be making money for the knowledge that you have. All it takes is a little bit of time. And you don't even have to have really nice equipment. You could be filming all this on a cell phone. Cell phones nowadays have gotten really good, and so there isn't really a good excuse not to do it. Pick up a cheap microphone, go into your cell phone, and now you're in business. No money out of your pocket, just time. And so it's a great way to make some extra money on the side. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll probably do a more in-depth analysis of my different crypto miners. Some have worked out, some have not. Demo in particular is kind of a thorn in my side lately, and so I'll go over that a little bit later in the future. But anyway, thanks for sticking around and watching the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks.